I'm so glad you're here. We are going to give it one more minute to let everyone in. But the reason I start with music, as not just because I love dance and I used to be a dance teacher, but when we get new information, when we get excited, it's good to be in a state of excitement and for you to get excited about what you're about to learn. So I encourage you to take a couple breaths, sit up straight, make sure you have a notebook and a pen, and make sure that maybe you're going to turn your phone off for an hour, or like you can be very present. So folks have told us where they are from. I love this. And I want to know, what's your biggest question for today? We were talking all about how to make and sell courses. So what's your intention? What do you most want to learn? Tell me in the chat. How to market, best platform, awesome. The mechanics. Build a course, build the audience, awesome. Jen, super. How to market, awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, friends, I love it, I love it, I love it. I wanted to start by saying thank you for coming today. I'm very excited about this, and this is, we're gonna be about an hour, really a dive into what I have learned as a course creator and as somebody who helps other people create courses. So this morning I sent out an email about this with enthusiasm, as I do, and I got an email back, and it was from somebody that I used to know from a different part of my life. And it said, do you think that these classes and what you do actually helps people? This was my first reaction. But then I was like, okay, I understand. That's a fair question. Because I think that that's also like, as a course creator or as a potential course creator, there's a big market out there. And how to come, and this is a great way when you start thinking about marketing, how do I come from a place of integrity and authenticity? So I wanted to talk about that for a second. What my agenda is for today is I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, and hopefully you'll get some tidbits of how I was able to get here, as well as some of my clients. Then we're going to go through my top 5 things I learned as a course creator. Then I'm going to talk about how to get help, whether that's resources that are available or for me. So I will talk about what I do, and then I'm going to answer any question that you have for the remainder of our time. Now, my commitment is always to add value, and I wanted to share something. I keep this Post-it note next to me, and this is useful for anybody who's presenters, that allows me to anchor to my intention. So I have a Post-it that says, you probably can't see it, it says, here to help. And that's my terrible handwriting. But it's to remind me, no matter where I am, if I get nervous when I'm presenting, why am I here? I'm here to help. I'm here to add value. The other thing that I do is that there's a lot of Post-it notes, is I keep a Post-it that says, we can't read any of these. It says, you are great at this. And it is a reminder to myself that it's not about me, and if you like me, and this is something important as you're presenting, it's not about me and if people buy from me, this is about you, and I am here to help. So that's something, if I start to get nervous or if somebody said something in the chat, I look at those to remind me of where I am. So I love all of your questions. I'm going to get to them the best I can. And if you want additional information, I'm going to talk about how we can do that. So let's jump in. So first of all, I can't see you, and I dearly wish we were all in a room together, although this is much more convenient. So if you take your hands and put them on the keyboard, it's the best way to communicate with me. I'm going to end with each other and stay engaged. So I would really want to encourage you to use the chat, ask questions. When I'm sharing my slides, I might not see everything, but I will, at the end, answer any questions that come up. Awesome. But I'm looking at how to find the people looking for you. Yeah, it's a big bad world out there. So we're going to talk about all of that. So let's go back to 10 years ago was the first time that I ever released an online course. Feels like forever ago. And it's funny because right now, 3 years ago, was just about when COVID was starting. Whew, it's been quite a 3 years. So 10 years ago, I was teaching dance full time. I was also just starting to do my coaching education. And there were a lot of people in the market, especially for belly dance, which was my main dance form, who were releasing videos, educational videos. It was just when digital download had started. And so within that, I was like, I'm going to do it too. But I looked at the market and I said, hey, what is missing? Because there were a lot of videos about A topic, there were a lot of videos about B topic. And I thought, this is what I'm really good at, but what's not available? So I made these 20-minute practice videos, which weren't these hour-long classes, and they weren't the 2-hour workshop. So I did like a low price. I made 3 of them, the building blocks of belly dance. I still own them. And I created them, marketed them. It cost me about $5,000, which at the time was a very large investment for me. And then I put them out into the world and I talked about it. And I would say I did mild marketing, which I feel like is a term you might want to write this down. Am I doing mild marketing? Am I doing mild marketing? I was like, do you want this? But I don't want to bother you. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you interested in this? And so I released it. And in the first 8 weeks, no, I think it was longer than that. I think in the first 4 months, I made $147. So therefore, putting my total expense of making these videos at $4,800. So I didn't quit. I was like, okay, first try. Let's see what else we can do. And I thought, hey, I have this pre-existing audience of people who are excited to take classes from me, who've taken classes from me before. And I made a bundle. When you purchase a class from me, you can have this optional practice companion. And I offered it to all the students, people, like if they wrote an email asking about class, I'd be like, I also have this thing. So I figured out who my pre-existing audience was, and I started offering it to them. I also created a bundle with something people were already buying. I did that for the next about 5 years. I mean, I offered it while I was still teaching until I re-recorded something. And I went back and looked, and my total sales across that time were about $25,000. So it didn't start like that, but the thing was, there's some lessons in there. I quit the mild marketing. And this is something I talk about a lot. I stopped making it about me and not wanting to bother people. And I thought about how I could help people and who they were. And I talked enthusiastically about it. I also looked at who are the people who already know who I am, so I don't have to build a whole new audience. While I worked on building a whole new audience, well, that took some time and I started to fund it. And then the biggest thing is I pivoted, trying to avoid that sunshine. I pivoted and really leaned into what's a different way that I could sell this, as opposed to, and I want you to tell me in the chat if this feels familiar. You put something out there and you put it on the internet and nobody buys it, and then you're like, nobody likes me, even though I know it's really good. I'm going to start questioning my own value. And you make this face. I'm going to turn a little bit to get out of the sunshine. Does that feel familiar to you? Yes, Kelly. The face. Yeah, that's the face, because we get our feelings hurt. Instead of thinking, I have produced something valuable, let me figure out the way to communicate this to find the right people. And that doesn't always happen overnight. We're going to battle this sunshine. Awesome. So then, if we go forward 10 years from there, And if we go to 2020, I was, COVID happened. At that time, I was paying $5,000 a month in rent for a dance studio. I still owed that money, even though the business couldn't be opened by the state. And I was like, what am I going to do? So again, I pivoted and I used a lot of the skills I have, my background in marketing, my coaching background, and took the business online and was very successful and was able to, and this is something that I want you to think about, I was able to market within the environment that was happening then. So if I was selling online dance classes now, I wouldn't do it the same way I did in 2020 because I was talking about finding comfort, being in your own home. So you always want to think about the environment that you're in right now. But here's the important part is during COVID, I had been on this mission to make coaching more of my full-time business. So I decided to do that. I sold the online part of my dance business and I decided I was going to start a course. I had a pretty full book of coaching clients and I was like, I still want time freedom because at that point I went from teaching dance classes specific hours of the day to coaching people specific hours of the day. So I still didn't have a lot of time freedom. If I wanted to go away for a week, I had to rearrange that whole schedule, get people to cover for me, and there was a maximum amount of money I could make. Yes, passive revenue. So I took everything that I had done, taking my business online, using the marketing skills I had, and I thought, I'm going to make this a course and I'm going to teach it to people. So I created a launch. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And I thought, okay, I really want to sell this, and my intention is to help people. I called it Make More Online. We launched it, and I did the opposite of mild marketing. I really leaned into how I could help people. I made a giant mistake, and I launched it in December, which is not a great time to launch something. But anyway, launched the product, and I sold, it was $2,500 course, and I sold 30. And my life changed because I realized that by selling courses, I could go into a space of making $70,000, $80,000 from a launch, which changed my ability to pay people. I have a team. I now have 7 employees. In 2020, I had 1. It changed my life and my freedom. And then and I know that this is a lot of me talking about me, but this is about you and how you can take all of these lessons with you. And my whole passion is to tell you how to do it. And this is what I realized. In the beginning of this year, it took a lot of hard work, but I traveled a lot. I went to different countries. And when I came back, our revenue of the company had stayed very consistent due to reoccurring revenue from course sales and group programs. Now, this is what I realized, and this is what I want you to write down. I stopped trying to build a business where people pay me for specific things, and instead I built a machine. I built a machine that can help people, and that machine keeps running when I walk away. So we want to talk about what is your machine. And then now what I'm doing is constantly trying to alter and fix it so that we can help more people. And this is my outlook on it. If I'm in a boat and I'm thinking, oh, I want to help more people, I want to help more people, the wake behind me is the revenue and the effect on me and my team. Because at this point, earning money, I'm allowed to be included in my own mission of helping women do better in their lives. And I certainly, that revenue has saved my life a couple of times. But also that allows me to pay other people, which helps make that machine. So there's a couple of lessons in there that I want to talk about before we jump into the slides. The first one is keep going. So especially, I went through that really fast. That story is harder than I just explained it. That's like the Instagram version versus the reality, Instagram versus reality. There were a lot of times I had to keep going because I knew who I wanted to help. The second thing is that I was willing to pivot. So if you write down another lesson, it's be willing to pivot. Stay in the sunshine, because I have all the blinds closed and it's still that bright in here. So be willing to pivot. So when I thought I had failed at that dance course, I pivoted, and most of that money was at the end of that time period. But I kept going and I was willing to pivot, try multiple things. The only bad decision is waiting. Meaning, if I wait, if I say, should I go to A or B? Just try one, because you'll know if it doesn't work and then you can go the other way. I also really focused on a very specific niche audience every time I did this, and then I grew the audience. So there's this phrase, the riches are in the niches, which bothers me because it's pronounced niche, but the more specific you can get, the better. And I really focused on what I was great at. So I was great at this kind of dance video. I was great at this kind of teaching. I'm good at teaching about courses. It's very specific, as opposed to I can fix anything, because that's really hard to sell. So I'd love for you to write that all down. And it's not just me. I had a client, her name is Lisa, and she had courses in a coaching business before she took a course from me about courses. That's very repetitive. And she had a very general relationship course or coaching practice, and she was going to create a course. And I said, let's niche it down. And so she's released something else now, but she made it women of a certain age, this kind of relationship, started to sell more. Then she made it more specific. Lisa is a gay woman, and she said, I'm going to do this specifically for gay women and challenges that they face. And then her sales grew more. That doesn't mean she doesn't get to help other people. It doesn't mean those people aren't attracted to her, but she made, if you're talking to 30 people, it's really easy for them to help you, as opposed to, I can help anyone with this. I also have a client, Savannah, who started with me 4 years ago, and she started, and she was making about $45,000 a year. She focused on the one thing she was great at. It's helping people with money, very specific, like helping a very specific group of people. And she now makes about $900,000 a year, only selling a course. So it is possible. There is nothing special about any of us, and you can do it. So what's your biggest takeaway so far? Tell me in the chat. What's a little nugget that you can take with you? Yes, the only bad decision is waiting. Whew, that's a big one. Narrow the focus, narrow the focus, narrow the focus. Am I mild marketing? Yes, it is entirely possible. Yeah, and I just want to say, if you have a niche, my dream was not to just help dancers, but I started there so it could fund the next dream. So fund your dream step by step. I think you should write that down too. Fund your dream step by step. And if you have a niche, get very specific and talk directly to those people. So, like, for example, this picture of me is not going to appeal to everyone, but for the right people, somebody who's a little more edgy is going to appeal to them. I am a coach for the weirdos. I am a coach for the people who are non-traditional. Okay, so I wanted to say that before we jump in, I want to offer all of you a 15-minute discovery call with me, and you can book that at chatwithlisaz.com. I'm going to put that in the chat. Now, in these calls, what we're going to do, am I going to talk about how I can help you? If I am the right fit, I will. If you need help from something else, I will tell you that. But we will also talk about your business and next steps. The thing I always say about these calls is if you're scared of it, you should book it immediately. Yeah, I did Tamara's earlier this week. We talked really fast, but take an action, any action to move your business forward. Okay, I sat down and thought all about how I've done this, how I've built a business of this size, and how I want you to build the same business faster than me. And I thought of 5 things. So, step 1 is build them and it will sell. Meaning, if you don't have it is not build it and they will come. If you put the intention into building an audience, getting email addresses, it is going to be a lot easier to sell your course. Now, if you are like, I help anybody learn Pilates, I sell these books to anyone, then you need to have at least a $10,000 a month ad budget to reach an audience that general. But if you get really specific about that intersection that I talked about, this is what I'm good at and this is what isn't there, then you're going to go directly to those people and talk directly to them about how you can help them. So 5 things I would like to say about building an audience. 1, you got to decide who are my people, meaning who am I interested in, who are also interested in me. Now, when you talk about the reality here, that, like if I was like, I want to coach extremely wealthy bankers, which I do not want that. I'm putting that out to the universe. I don't think that they necessarily want me, the lady with the tattoos who used to be a belly dancer. So I do want to think, who is my ideal, who also are interested in me, and finding that intersection. And so what I want you to do is, as you think about that, get very specific and lean into finding those people. Where are they? Now, the other thing I'd love for you to do is do an exercise tonight and be like, who already buys from me? Who trusts me? Who loves me? Who already buys from me? Who trusts me? And who loves me? Because if you have 2 people who love you right now, there's no audience small enough. And then we can find 2 more, 2 more, 2 more, 2 more, 2 more. I guarantee you the object in motion stays in motion. There are more of the people who love you. Then I start to get specific. Who are they? Think about, where are they? What social media platform? And then I go to that place and I do number 2, add value, add value, add value, add value. Meaning that before I ask someone to buy from me, I prove to them why I am worthy. Meaning, I am doing it right now. Meaning I give them value, I give them tidbits, and then I start thinking about what can I say to this audience that's really going to resonate with them? And I think about, how can I solve their problems? So some folks have heard me say this before, but we are either at any point seeding or selling. Meaning I'm either planting seeds that will grow into the people who can buy from me. So I'm always seeding ideas. So by the time I start talking about something, that I'm selling something, people know me as the that lady or the that human. Lisa's the person who talks about selling courses online. Add value. So I'd love for you to right now be like, how am I on the internet adding value? Am I teaching mini lessons? Am I talking about little tips? Number 3, it is all about the email, meaning you need an email list. So 1, think about a lead magnet, which is anything you can give away for free. And then you have to market that in exchange for people's email addresses. It can be a discount. It can be a 20-minute video. You want to talk about transformation, not just people's problems. I told you about how Lisa transformed her business by getting specific. I talked about Savannah like 100xing her revenue. So talk about how what you do can help people transform. People always say to me, well, Lisa, it must be easy because you work with businesses. People want to transform how they feel. People want to transform their relationships. People want to join a community of people like themselves. So there is a transformation in what you do. And finally, don't talk your language, talk their language. So one of the biggest issues I see in marketing is people are selling to themselves and not their ideal customer. So don't talk about it, market it, sell it to yourself, market it to your ideal customer. Okay, number 2, when will a course work? This is really important because I'm seeing a lot of digital products that aren't necessarily the best fit. So what do I mean by that? Is if I have a topic, the first thing I want to ask is this teachable online? So for instance, if I was teaching a very advanced movement topic, I might say, hey, this isn't actually the best thing to teach online, but I could create a beginner's course. For the people who are coaches, although I've been advised over and over again to give up one-on-one coaching and make a group program, I don't see that I get, me, not anybody else, the same results. So I keep clients at a certain level in a one-on-one program with me. 2 is I want you to think about your format options. Meaning, do I want to do a fully pre-recorded course? Do I want to I always do some version of live, meaning a live video with me, as well as pre-recorded material. Why? Because when people exist entirely outside of me, I start to get nervous and I want to go help them. So I decided to just charge enough so I can do that. So think about what format is actually going to work. Number 3 is understand the limitations of online work and then charge appropriately. Meaning, I taught a course once and it was about the basics of starting a business. And someone complained and they were like, my business didn't go to $20,000 a month. But it did go to like from 0 to 6,000. But I needed to be more clear. I take that responsibility back and say, this is good to get to this point, and beyond that, you might need more time with me. So what are the limitations? Some of the other limitations that I've learned is that people have short attention spans. So if I'm doing fully pre-recorded material, the max time I do is 20 minutes and then a break. So I think about bite-sized chapters. I typically, when I was teaching movement, don't do things with turns and my back to them. So what are the limitations for me? And then set boundaries around what you are doing. If you are selling somebody a fully pre-recorded course, people are not getting one-on-one time with you. People aren't getting an in-person class with you. So I need to be clear with people about what this can do. The other thing I really encourage you to do is think about the idea of gamification, which is a fancy tech word, meaning like, how can I make this fun for people? A lot of the platforms, I use Kajabi. I find it to be by far the most flexible of the course creation platforms. To do things like you can't do the next video until you finish the one before. You get a bonus point. You get, we do challenges in our group sometimes. But how am I going to incentivize people to keep going? And finally, is there a VIP option? Which is, do you want to add something where people will get the thing that they're asking for? So if people want one-on-one, add a VIP option. Because I don't know if you've noticed, but if you get out of your money stuff, there are some people who want to pay more for more attention. And I say that again, if you get out of your own money stuff and stop discounting everything and not charging enough, and then feeling a little resentful about it, there are a lot of people who prefer to pay for a higher end option. Okay, Tamara, can you spell the platform you use? Jackie just put it in the chat. I just want to say the other Teachable is another platform a lot of people are using. They all are starting to get closer to each other because they're seeing what the other people were doing. Kajabi is programmable and can has different levels. It is what I recommend. I also want to say that the first time I created a course, I recorded it, I put it on YouTube as a private link, and then I emailed it to people, and it cost me $0. I also recorded YouTube videos, put them on a page on my website, and made it password protected, and that cost me $0. So there is free to a couple $100s a month. You can do this on your budget. It's going to take more work, and oftentimes we're exchanging money for time. Okay. Launch, not start. So this is one of the biggest things I want to say is if you want to do this, you have to get out of mild marketing. And if I think about the idea of a launch, launching actually means if I am shooting a rocket into space, and clearly I don't do that because I'm using terrible language for it. I'm shooting a rocket into space, then if they're talking about that rocket won't get to space if there's not a certain amount of like thrust behind it, meaning it takes a lot of energy to get something where you want it to go. Write that down, please. It takes a lot of energy to get something where you want it to go. So if you want to do this, you want to launch, not start. Now, for people who are interested in having evergreen programs, which means there's rolling admission, you want to think about creating mini launches. It is harder to sell something that doesn't have a date because people are like, oh, maybe I'll do it later. So when I've had that, I create false dates where like start with a group, or we're like offering something special, you get a bonus class, because you need to put leverage behind this and launch it, which means that your launch has to have excitement. So my 5 tips on this are, it is not about you, it is about your customer. The biggest issue that I have seen in business recently is there's this movement, which is necessary, but that's like, I deserve this much. You should charge this much because you're worthy. Now, here's the thing. You are inherently worthy because you are a human and you are valuable. But if you want to sell something, you remove your own ego and you make it about the customer, which means that I talk about the customer's needs. I talk about how I can help them. I don't say things like, this is how you can support me, but I say, this is how I can help you. The other thing that I want to say is that when you say things like, I don't want to be too salesy, you want to be ethical, yes, but you want to sell because this is not about you. So take the ego out every time you're like, if I post again, maybe somebody will get annoyed. Maybe somebody will unsubscribe. I'm going to put other people in front of that and say, if I can take somebody's business, I can't do it. They have to do it. If I can support someone to go from $45,000 to $900,000 a year, I'm going to talk about it. I was put here on this planet to help people, and I'm going to do it. So put the customer first. Secondly, get consistent. If I say, hey, be posting, adding value on your social media platform where these people exist. Start putting free webinars on once a month. If you only do it once in a while, it's not going to work. Consistency creates greatness. So don't focus on doing it once in the most amazing way and stay out of perfectionism. Work on doing it consistently. Do the math on the volume, meaning your ideal customer will see what you post about 10% of the time. People typically need to see something to remember it over 14 times. It used to be over 6, but since the pandemic and everybody's on the internet, we need to be seeing things over and over and over to remember them. It's called becoming part of the recalled set. So typically, if something's not selling, there's 2 things I usually see. You're marketing to the wrong audience, or you're not marketing enough. So if I want you, my ideal customer, to see it 14 times and you're only seeing 10%, how much am I going to talk about this? Or network about this, or put myself out there? It doesn't have to be posting online. And I already said this, make it about helping. I am following my mission and allowing that to take care of me and my employees. And finally, get into a state of excitement, because your energy translates into how you market the business. Meaning, if you need to do a launch, you need to have a lot of energy and you need to have time. So you need to be prepared for that. So if you need some time to heal, if you need some time to rest, do it, and then plan a time where you can bring the energy. Okay, tell me, what's your biggest takeaway so far? What are we getting out of this? I'm going to take a sip of water. Be daring. Yes. Yes, Valerie. Diving in. Amazing, amazing. Put the ego aside. Yes. Awesome. Okay, keep telling me, what are you getting out of this? Number 4, this is so important. It is all about the LTR, which is the long-term relationship. Yeah, it is a lot of marketing. So you have to think about the long-term relationship, meaning not everybody is going to buy from you today, and that doesn't mean you should discard them. Tosca, I'm going to ask you to ask me that question at the end, and I'm going to talk about it at the end when I answer questions. It is all about the long-term relationship. Meaning, think about the fact, so this visual is people getting married. So realize that people sometimes want to date you before they get married. And that's sometimes a little more healthier and means the relationship is going to be good. So measure and consider your sales cycle. That there are some people who are going to hear about what you do, it's going to be something they want, and they're going to purchase from you a year later. So one thing that I look at in my business is, how long is it between initial contact and when somebody purchases from me? And if it's too long, what else do I need to do to amplify my voice so that person learns to trust me? They can learn to trust you through testimonials. They can learn to trust you through other people advocating for you. There's a lot of options there. But think about that, and don't discard people if they are not initially purchasing from you. Continue to nurture the relationship. There are people on this webinar right now who have known who I am for probably 15 years. There are people who purchased from me after knowing about me for a very long time. So I value every person, and think about the fact that they may become my customer, maybe I just serve them. Secondly, think about have somewhere for people to go. Meaning, if somebody loves what I do I have an upsell? Do I have a VIP offer? Nurture after a launch. So if you start your course and then it starts, I don't discard all the people who were interested. So you all, I'm about to tell you about something that I'm going to do. If you decide not to purchase, great, you're going to still hear from me because I love you and I want to help. So I'm just going to keep helping. But nurture people who haven't initially purchased from you. Understand the sales funnel. Now, for sake of time, I want to say I'd love to see a lot of you scheduling that call with me because I can look at where you are in your sales funnel, meaning that people need to get to know me, they need to learn about me, they need to start to trust me before they purchase from me. And at any point when I'm talking to someone, identify where you are in the relationship. Meaning, if you just found out who I was, is it appropriate for me to say, if I'm you, buy this $5,000 year-long Pilates teacher training from me? If they are looking for Pilates teacher training and they got recommended to you, yeah, maybe. But if they're like, hey, who are you? It's a first date. You're not going to be like, do you want to get married? Do you want to get married? I'm going to identify where I am with them and introduce additional things, start to add value, offer to send them my free webinar. Can I have you come to one class to see what I'm about? So you have to think about how long people have been around me and then what am I offering them? I have to have somewhere for people to go. I want to nurture people even after they've had a chance to purchase, to understand where I am in a sales funnel and identify where we are in a relationship together. Which, if you need help, I challenge you, schedule this time with me. It's a time to just take your business to the next level. Which goes to number 5, which is not just a commercial for me, although I'm going to talk about it, which is the last thing that I did is I sold more when I got help. And there's a bunch of different ways to get help, including what you're doing right now, which is consume all the free or low-cost information you can get. So how can you get help growing your business? Number 1 is modeling. So I picked out people who had the same audience as me, who were doing what I was doing, and I deeply studied how they did it. Instead of being jealous and maybe a little catty about them, which was my first instinct and is not helpful, I got really, really interested in their business and modeled. We do not copy content, but you can sure copy structure. So I want to do what Lisa's doing. I'm going to look at her Instagram and see how often and when during the day she's posting. And then you're going to help yourself by testing. If you are posting every Tuesday and Thursday and you're not getting a lot of sales, then change to something else. Change your email subject lines. Change. I'm always testing and seeing what works. There is data on every part of digital marketing. Pivot, 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 pivot. Constantly be pivoting. And finally, if you're interested, go get help. My business accelerated when I got a coach who very specifically had done what I had to do. Now, I'm going to tell you about a course that I'm offering that is about courses, and then I'm going to answer your questions. Now, I want to say something. If you are interested in selling courses, you have to be able to talk about it. So while I advise, I hope, listening with interest to seeing if what I have to say is interesting, also notice how I sell. So last year in July, I started this course called the 6-Figure Course. It's an 8-week live class where we build not just your course, we go through the content, what is best to teach, how to teach it, but we also build a full sales plan, a sales funnel. We talk about how to sell it, how to process the money, and all the tech. Now, we had, and I limit the number of people who can sign up, it sold out last time, and those people are now like Lisa, who I talked about, who is actively selling courses, doing the thing. Now, Here's the thing. I'm going to teach it live one more time, starting on March 29th. And I have taken everything that I learned the first time around, and I'm going to reteach it, and it's going to be refined, and I'm super excited. And it's a little bit shorter. It's 8 weeks, and in that 8 weeks, you will fully create a course. You'll have a sales page and a sales plan, and you'll be fully supported. And then after the 8 weeks, live classes, you get all the recordings. There's a 12-week process where we meet every other week, and you are creating and doing homework. So the investment for this, it's $2,000 or 12 payments of $200, which is $2,400. And I'm so excited. After this, I'm not going to do it live again. I'm going to make it an evergreen course. I would love to have you there. If you have any questions, you can go to chatwithlisa.com. And in true course creation style, you will get an email about this as soon as this webinar is over. I'll also be sending you the recording, but that's in the chat. Now, I just want to talk about one thing. When people do this, they're like, maybe I can do it on my own. You could, absolutely. But if you want to do it faster and you want to create this income stream for you, do it with help. The other thing I hear all the time is like a little bit of this about the investment, which I get. We want to make smart financial decisions, but this is what I would say. That's why we made the $200 a month plan. And that can be, what are you spending each month on coffees? And then you invest, you choose to also put the time in and see what happens. But if we already have a course and a sales page, but need help getting that out there. Deborah, last time we had people who had courses who did it and they had a lot of success. Teresa signed up, I can't wait. And Deborah, or you could do private coaching with me. I would schedule the call with me. Okay, it's time for questions. The sun is still here. I'm going to turn a little bit. Tell me any question that you have in the chat. Tosca had a question, which was, invest in your dreams step by step. So Tosca, this is what, I can't fix this. This is what I would say about that, is I have had the same freaking dream since I started this, which is that I want to be on big stages inspiring people. That is here. I started here. And I was like, I want to have a multi-million-dollar business. I do have one, and it took me 15 years. And I built it step by step because I didn't want to make that much money once. I wanted to make that money over and over and over. So I said, who are the first people I can sell to? Dancers. I can help them build a business. I know how to do it. I know where they are. I took that step and I mastered that. And then I said, hey, now while I'm doing that, I'm going to start building an audience of business owners. So then I'm going to do the next thing. Then I'm going to get a speaking coach, and I'm going to start working on speakers. So I funded myself and I stair stacked that business. So by, I think, like next year, you're going to see me on those big stages. Good. What other questions? There's got to be so many questions. There's 39 people. What is the difference between a masterclass versus creating a course? Val, a masterclass is a one-off. So this is a masterclass. And creating a course is a longer term multi-class experience. So for me, that course is 8 weeks. So that's a course, meaning there's multiple classes, just like a college course, as opposed to like a workshop. But I teach any digital product, memberships, and you could use that course for any of it. Do you have an opinion about high ticket versus low ticket? Yes, I do. I think it is easier to sell what I would say low, high ticket, meaning that I like to sell things at a price where people have to choose to make an investment, because then they show up and do the work. However, I do think that, this is my personal opinion, that some of the prices in the coaching industry have gotten out of control. So some people would see 2,000 and say, that's a little low. I sell at volume so that I can serve more people. And then I choose to sell courses to keep my coaching at a price it's a good investment, but I'm not charging $10,000-$20,000 for a one-off thing, which I just think that's my personal opinion. I like to keep it accessible. But I do think, I promise you, it is easier to sell something up here than like 50, $100. And also you need a giant audience to sell enough of those to make enough money. Listen to all these questions because you're going to get some good things from that. Narrowing what to put in a course. Sue, you should schedule that call with me. I'm going to put it in the chat one more time. But I think that we could talk about that. I'd want to hear a little bit more about that. But I think that's one of the things we do in the course. It's like, how do you take everything you know and narrow it to the best way to serve people? Can this course be targeted for people that haven't started their business yet? Yes. Finding my audience. Jackie, this is what I would say about that, is that I see a lot of people trying for too short of a time. Pick a very specific audience, and then like you have to work on that over and over and over and over and over. So pick one, get specific, and go longer than you think. How do you find your niche? Sadira, my niche is the intersection of what I'm great at and what people need. So I would think, what isn't in the market yet? What do people want? And what am I really good at? And where is there an intersection? Spend like 10 or 20 minutes journaling on that. The chat with Lisa Z call. Yes, I can help with that. You got to pay for that advice. Yeah, there are some questions, honestly, I won't answer because it's stuff that, like, you have the boundary of this is what you would pay me for. Oh, questions. How to promote a course without having a product yet. Yvonne, I'm not sure I understand that. Like the course, I want to say this, I sell a course before I've created it. So like I have an outline of what I'm going to teach, but I sell before I create, if that answers your question. Yes, I talk about all the tech, from like, how can I do this on a budget, to occasionally we learn things like, after the time change, don't teach right in the spot. And we talk about it. But Cheryl, I talk about all the different ways to get good audio. Awesome. Tell me your biggest takeaway, please, in the chat. What did you learn today? And I want to say something. There were some folks who were in my master class that was paid. I do all different kinds of products, about how to use these. I did not answer every question you had because I had 1 hour and I want to honor your time. I also didn't answer every question you had because I differentiate between, I add lots of value for free, but there's some things that are included in my paid offerings. I would love to see you here. I'd love to see you in the course. I forgot to say this. For the first 5 people who sign up, I'm adding a coaching call. And right now we have, I'm looking at my whiteboard, there are 15 spots left in the course. So I'd love to have you. We are starting the launch tomorrow, and then we start on the 29th. VIP options. Look at all these good comments. I love it. Inspired. You need this energy. I hope that today was helpful. If I can help you anymore, I'd love to talk to you. If you're interested in the class, grab one of those first 5 spots, and you'll get a one-on-one coaching call with me. And you're amazing. I'm so grateful and happy to serve, and hope you took something away from today. And I can't wait to see you again soon. You all are amazing. We got to go back. We got to go back to the music and take it out with high energy. I want you to know that I 100% think you can do this, and you can grow it to wherever you need for your business. On that note,
around the clock. Feel that bass around the block. Feel the wake up to the top. Birthday shots. Doesn't matter who